What's up, everyone? This is Sox again, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about my biggest mistakes in the game. And for those of you wondering, am I perfect in this game? Do I ever do everything perfectly? No, I'm very far from perfect. Actually, I made a lot of mistakes in the early game. And for those of you wondering, I've never done a jumper. I've never done a sleeper. I think some people ask me, why didn't I do the fastest free-to-play T5 challenge? It's because I have had no knowledge of the game in early game, so I did not want to attempt that. Yeah, I mean, I really didn't no research on the game. I just sort of launched into it. And as a result, I did talk to a lot of people, but a lot of them gave me wrong information. And that's why I'm going to make this video documenting some of my worst mistakes which I made in the game. You can see by the thumbnail what my first one is going to be. It is Alex. So, you might be wondering how much use I got out of Alex. Basically none. 6 million kills. I expertise him almost 2.5 years ago. And you can see I basically dumped a lot of universal sculptures, these legendary commander sculptures. Basically none of the Alex sculptures, which you get from the wheel. So it was a pretty big investment for me for basically no return. I do use Alex for Marauders and Barbs occasionally, but it's not worth 690 heads to get this little payoff. So you might be wondering, what did I think when I was investing in Alex? What was my thought process? So when I invested in him, it was like early KVK 3 when I expertised him. And I thought I could use him in the Season of Conquest because there wasn't such a big power creep as there is now in the game. So I thought he would be good in KVK 3 and he would also be good in KVK 4 and KVK 5. Turns out I was completely wrong. In my KVK 3, I was using Alex with Max YSG or Expertise YSG. Both of them were Expertise, and I'll be honest, it was not trading well at all. So Alex YSG was not trading well. I was using a single march, one march. Alex YSG, it was not trading well. I went back to Sun YSG, Sun Tzu YSG, it was trading so much better. And this might be surprising to you, but I tested it for a few hours, and I'm positive that Sun YSG actually out-traded Alex YSG using only one march. So I was very disappointed, honestly, but it is what it is. I expertised Alex, and I stopped using him for KVK 3. I went to KVK 4, and I used Scipio with Alex. There was no Luce at the time, so I used Scipio with Alex. And people told me it was good. 2 years ago, they told me it was good. It was not good. So I used Scipio Alex, and I found out my trades were not good again. So I ended up using Scipio with YSG, and I ended up using Scipio with Mehmed also. Depends on the situation, because Mehmed is a little tankier with the Relic. So I basically had YSG on the bench the entire time I invested in him. So this is definitely my biggest regret. Some of you might be wondering, could you use Luce Alex? You could use Luce Alex at this point of the game. But I already have Expertise Scipio, and then I proceeded to Expertise Luce, so there's no use in me using Alex as a result. So yeah, I basically had no use for Alex in my entire time. I could maybe do 2 infantry marches. I could do Luce Alex. I could do Guan Yu Scipio, but I don't think it's worth it at this time. The next gen infantry is probably coming out very soon. And I don't think Guan Yu will survive another rotation. So yeah, I'm holding off. Unfortunately, I got like no use out of Alex. Obviously, there's some use in the support skills if you know what they are. Heroic Anthem as well as Invictus, which I'm playing, has support skills. And basically, if you have these skills on the commanders leveled, you can use them on your marches. Also, you can use it in Siege of Orleans, auxiliary skills. But of course, that does not make up 690 gold heads, which I spent on Alex with such limited use. So this is my biggest regret. Let's talk about my second biggest regret. I have no idea what I was thinking when I did this. I just dumped in 190 gold heads into XY. For some reason, I thought I could use XY with Joan when Joan came out, and it turns out that was a horrible march. I was like, I thought I was cooking. I was like, I'm cooking. XY Joan is going to be meta. Turns out it was horrible, and I jumped the gun investing in XY, and then I just ended up maxing Nevsky instead and using Nev Joan. So this was just a waste of 190 gold heads. I think I got these 90 from Heart's Desire, so these are not like a complete waste here. But, you know, I sunk 190 gold heads with Alex. That is a big amount of gold heads I just sunk into the middle of nowhere. Like 900 gold heads I just wasted on these two commanders, and I basically not used them at all. So these are definitely my 2 biggest regrets. Obviously, these set me back quite a bit. But even now, I'm doing pretty well, right? I have 4 meta marches I'm using right now, and I'm progressing to a 5th march at some point later in time. This is not really a regret, but I just wanted to talk about Boudica. So I did use Boudica for at least 3 KVKs. I was just disappointed in her. I wouldn't call this regret, but if you look at, I actually showed my stats. on my previous KVKs, and you can see that actually Boudica Zook, this was an expertise Zook, was trading worse than a Scipio Mehmed. And this Mehmed is only 5511. You can actually see my Mehmed is still like 5522. Like this Mehmed was not even skilled up, and it was outperforming a Boudica expertise Zook. It's crazy that that was like the best option I had. But these were like the best, I guess, 3 meta marches. Obviously, Guan Scipio would have been better than Scipio Mehmed, but I didn't want to invest in Guan at the time. But it's crazy to think that Boudica Zook was getting outperformed by Scipio Mehmed. And actually, my next KVK, I did a video on this as well. Scipio YSG with the auxiliary skills was outperforming Boudica Zook as well. So I was a little disappointed by Boudica. I wouldn't call this a regret or like a big disappointment, but I wish Boudica was a bit better. That's all. I think she performed well for the time which I used her, but I think she just fell out of the meta really fast in like the main marches. Like Herman came out, and I was like, all right, Boudica, goodbye. So yeah, these are like my 3 biggest mistakes. Obviously Boudica is like the smallest one, but these ones are like pretty sizable. I'd say for newer players, just be careful, especially early on. Be careful investing in the pre-season of Conquest Commanders. So don't make the same mistakes I did. Don't invest in pre-SOC Commanders. I'd say even YSG is a no-go for anybody right now. Don't invest in Alex. Don't invest in YSG. Just save all your gold heads for Season of Conquest Commanders, and just try to read the meta. Try to see what's the strongest meta march in the meta, and just sort of like max that pair and go with it. Yeah, but what I wanted to talk about after that was, you can see in this screenshot, I had VIP 15, 408 days. This is a interesting decision by me for sure. You might be wondering if that's actually me in that picture. I do have a picture from like all the way back in the day. Hopefully I can find it, but like that was me getting VIP 15 in my first Season of Conquest KVK. This is my first Season of Conquest KVK. You can see the crystal. This is my first Season of Conquest KVK. That was me all the way back in the day when I was a 35 mil player. VIP 15 at 408 days. Now you may be wondering, why did I go to VIP 15? Because you get an additional, sort of a dumb reason, additional 5% research speed, additional 5% building speed at VIP 15. And once I got VIP 15, then I pushed for T5. So I did various, you can see here I favorited the reports. I did various pushes where I pushed my power to get T5. You see here, Game of Power. I just pushed my power over time during the Game of Power events. I just went for the T5 pushes slowly over time. So that was my sort of style, to go for VIP 15 and then push for T5 over time. I actually don't recommend this. I wouldn't call this a regret, but I thought this was a interesting choice by me. I probably should have stopped at VIP 14 and then went for T5. By the way, I'm a favor of doing VIP 14 over T5, just a heads up. But this is what I did in the early game. I went for VIP 15 very early. 400 days, I'd say, is pretty early for most people to get it. And then I pushed for T5. That was my decision. For most players, I'd recommend VIP 14 and then go to T5. I'm not a fan of the VIP 12, the T5 method, but I'm not going to go into length about it in this video. But this is what I did in the early game. VIP 15 and then push to T5 slowly over time through the various 20 gold head events. That was my sort of style. I don't regret it at all, actually, but I thought it was interesting that I did it this way, but that was my sort of thought process behind what I was doing. Last thing I wanted to talk about. When I entered my first Season of Conquest KVK, I was looking very hard for a guide. It took me a while to find a good guide. So this is the guide I would recommend to most players that are entering the Season of Conquest, made by Kingdom 2134. This is a very good guide, I'd say. It sort of details you the crystal path, you can see, the crystal tech path. This is also assuming that you have like a very low research center. So basically, you get these crystal chests, which sort of stack over time. This crystal chest here. You only get these crystal chests at the end of every Season of Conquest KVK. So new players will not have the crystal chests, so you'll be a little behind crystal-wise. So this details you like pretty well, in my opinion, what you need to do and like sort of the tech order you need to do in each step. And I've been using this guide, I'd say, for like the past 3 KVKs. More or less, I've been following the same guide. I do my own slight variations based on like what I see is the best course for me. But I would recommend you to, if you're new to SOC or new to Season of Conquest, to find a good crystal tech guide, because it's very important for you to know what you're doing, especially in your first SOC. You might be really lost just seeing everything load in, like all these different Bastion quests and support skills. Your Heroic Anthem will have support skills. You might be lost. I definitely recommend first looking at a crystal tech guide. That's also very important. There's also a second link here, which I think is probably a big lifesaver. So this tab, they have the Kalkrok here. So Kalkrok is like a sort of buffed version of the normal Korok, which gives you crystal, and there's like 5 difficulties. Each gives you crystal, and you can see the crystal amount here in this tab. This is a very helpful guide. This also details the tech in order, which is very helpful. Like T1 tech here, you scroll down and go further, you have T2 tech. So this details the research time, the crystal, the season coins you get, and the prerequisites, which is very helpful. So there are a lot of resources out there. This is probably the 2 most helpful resources I'd say for new players entering the Season of Conquest. A Crystal Tech guide, as well as the sort of Kalkrok. This is like an all-in-one guide right here. Kalkrok, you got like the tech prereqs, as well as the crystal costs. In this tab, you have the, I think, scroll down to the right. You have the cost for pop-ups. You have the cost for all the Conqueror's Will, Mountain Warfare. It's like everything you can do in like the Season of Conquest, the Crystal Tech wise, is sort of in these 2 guides, I would say, except probably like how to actually play it. I'd say how to actually play a Season of Conquest KVK. It's a little bit more complicated, like equipping support skills and all that. It doesn't explain it in this guide, but these are 2 very helpful guides, I'd say, for newer players. This is the Nile KVK also. So these tabs are all very helpful, I'd say, for newer players in the entering the Season of Conquest KVK. I've also used these guides very extensively. I use it. I even check it nowadays just to see like I want to see like the prereqs for Quenched Blades 2 or something. I can see like the prereqs so I don't go too far in the tech tree. So these are things I think will be very helpful. I made a lot of mistakes in my first 2 Season of Conquest, I'd say, tech-wise. So once I found these guides, I was very happy that I got like pretty good guides out there to look at and sort of progress. Because I'm free to play, obviously. I'm at a big disadvantage. I have to know exactly how to spend my crystal and prioritize like my tech upgrades. So it's very important for free to play to like get a grasp on what you need to do, because Crystal Tech will be around forever. So you have to know what you're doing once you enter the Season Conquest, and just sort of grind it out. Every KVK in Season Conquest is Crystal Tech. So yeah, that's more or less what I wanted to talk about. My mistakes. Obviously, I made a lot of mistakes with Crystal Tech as well. I've actually had a video where I documented my Crystal Tech recently. Obviously, I've learned from my mistakes, and that's like a good Crystal Tech guide, I would say. But yeah, I'll include these 2 links. Their links are right here for the Crystal Tech guide. But yeah, I hope that that sort of gave you a good detailed description of my mistakes I made in the game, as well as some advice for you newer players, because this is a very, very big game. There's a lot of knowledge, a lot of things to learn in this game. And even today, I'm still learning every day. I'm still talking to people. I'm still getting knowledge in the game. So I think it's very important in this game to be constantly talking to people, constantly getting knowledge on the game, so you can constantly be improving and, you know, getting better as a player. Because this game is not not very new player friendly. There is a big learning curve. You can see by the mistakes I made, I'm also subject to these new player mistakes. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about in this video. If you like the video, let me know. And yeah, this KVK, brief update about the KVK. We still have 2 weeks until our first fighting starts. So this is there's gonna be a while until fighting starts in our current KVK. But yeah, I haven't been streaming much. Sorry about that. But hopefully I'll be back to streaming more regularly. I've just been bored, honestly. But yeah, that's all I have to give you for this video. If you liked it, let me know, and I'll be posting hopefully another video in like a week or 2. But yeah, until then.